Mrs. Kim, increasingly frustrated with the escalating tension, tries a different approach. Let's not dwell on differences tonight, please. We are family, and unity should be our focus. The housekeeper, navigating discreetly through the frayed edges of the atmosphere, remains a silent observer to the unfolding drama. The grandeur of the dining room, once a symbol of familial elegance, now bears witness to the unraveling threads of harmony. As the dinner nears its end, Mrs. Kim, with a sigh of disappointment, rises from her seat. I suppose we all have our differences, but family is what binds us together. Let's strive for understanding and compassion, Mrs. Kim, maintaining her diplomatic facade, nods in agreement. Of course, Mrs. Kim. Family is indeed a priority. Mrs. Kim extends a final invitation with a glimmer of hope, looking at her son. Join me in the tea room, won't you, darling? I believe there's something we need to address privately. The air lingers with unspoken tensions as the family dinner concludes, leaving behind an intricate tapestry of unresolved emotions within the grandeur of the manor. As the door to the tea room closes, leaving them in a cocoon of relative privacy, Mrs. Kim looks at her son with a mix of concern and maternal affection. Taehyung, darling, there's an undeniable tension in the air. I've watched you grow into the man you are, and it hurts me to see you like this. What's going on? Taehyung sighs, taking a seat on the couch beside her, and the woman pours tea into a porcelain cup, holding it out to her son. He accepts it gratefully, and, grappling with the weight of his emotions, takes a moment before responding. Mom, it's complicated. There are some things in my life, choices I've made, that I'm not sure how to unravel now. Mother nods understandingly, encouraging him to open up. Life is full of complexities, my love. You can always confide in me. What's troubling you? Taehyung takes a deep breath, trying to find the right words. It's Mrs. Kim. Our relationship is strained, and I feel like I'm caught between conflicting worlds. I don't know how to make things right. Mother finds herself surrounded by the timeless elegance of the room. She gazes out of the window, lost in contemplation. A photo on the console table captures a moment from Taehyung and Mrs. Kim's wedding, a moment frozen in time that evokes a mixture of nostalgia and disdain. Over a decade, she whispers, the bitterness palpable in her tone. Over a decade of enduring her presence, Mother maintains her supportive gaze again, her motherly instincts attuned to Taehyung's struggle. She offers a gentle smile, a silent reassurance that he can confide in her without judgment. Taehyung, fidgeting with his cup, meets his mother's gaze, a conflicted expression in his eyes. Mom, it's just Mrs. Kim and I, we are not doing great. There's a rift, and it's getting wider. A mother's intuition kicks in, and his mother's eyes soften with understanding. She knows that relationships, even the most cherished ones, endure storms. I've seen the distance between you two today, she cites. Taehyung, my love, relationships face challenges, and sometimes the only way to overcome them is to confront the truth, however difficult it may be. You can share anything with me, I'm here for you. What's at the heart of it? So the man, feeling the weight of his secrets, decides to open up. It's more than just a rough patch, Mom, there's someone else. Someone who came into my life and turned it upside down. Someone I can't seem to let go of. The confession hangs in the air, a revelation that adds complexity to the intricate dynamics of their familial estate. Mrs. Kim, always perceptive, leans in, inviting Taehyung to share more. Someone else? Tell me about them, Love. Taehyung, his eyes momentarily cast downward, begins to unravel the layers of his turmoil. His name is Jungkook. And it's like he's flipped my world upside down, and I don't know how to deal with it. Mother studies her son's face, absorbing the weight of his words. Her maternal instincts shift into a protective mode, and she reaches out to gently hold Taehyung's hand, offering comfort. Taehyung, love, I appreciate you being honest with me. It takes courage to share something like this, especially when it's difficult. So, tell me more about this Jungkook person, yeah? How did he come into your life? Taehyung takes a deep breath, grateful for his mother's understanding. Jungkook and I, we met through work. He's different, Mom, in a way I never expected. We just clicked, and it felt like we understood each other on a level I haven't felt before. And now it's tearing me apart. Mother listens to Taehyung's revelation, absorbing the intricacies of his emotional struggle. Her expression remains understanding, and she gently encourages him to share more of his feelings, holding his hand. Taehyung continues, exhaling deeply. If I'm being honest, at first, Mom, he was just a distraction, a way to escape the problems, you know? Our marriage with Mrs. Kim had its issues, and we both knew it. And we were never this loyal to each other, so, anyway. And Jungkook was someone different, a breath of fresh air. But then, as time went on, I realized I was starting to care for him in a way I hadn't expected. He makes me happy, Mom. Like, really happy, and light, and young, and it's the first time I felt that in a long while. Mother nods, acknowledging the complexity of the situation. Love, emotions are complicated, and it sounds like you're navigating through uncharted territory. It's not uncommon for people to seek comfort or escape during challenging times, but you have to be honest with yourself about your feelings. And it's great if there's someone who makes you feel such things. Taehyung takes a moment to collect his thoughts, his eyes searching for the right words. Jungkook is different, Mom. When I'm with him, it's like the world fades away, and there's just this connection. I've never felt anything like it before. He challenges me, makes me see things from a different perspective. It's both exhilarating and terrifying. It's not just a passing infatuation, it's a connection that defies explanation. I think I find myself drawn to him in ways I never thought possible. Mother listens, her eyes reflecting a mixture of concern and understanding. She knows the path of emotions can be treacherous, and she waits patiently for Taehyung to continue. The man clears his throat. It's not an excuse, Mom. I know I made promises to Mrs. Kim and I should be honoring them, but Jungkook, he's become more than just a little secret affair. You see, his mother, her gaze steady, offers a supportive presence. She recognizes the turmoil in her son, the conflict between societal expectations and the undeniable pull of the heart. Taehyung, relationships are complex, and the heart, well, it follows its own course. It's okay to feel torn, my love. What matters now is how you navigate through this. Have you considered what you truly want? I don't even know, Mom. I feel like I'm tearing myself apart, caught between two worlds. Mrs. Kim deserves honesty. She deserves respect that I promised her, but I fear the consequences. And Jungkook, he deserves more than secrecy. Mother, after a thoughtful pause, brings up a delicate aspect of Taehyung's past. You know, darling, I often think about your time at university. I recall there were moments when you had some affairs, but they never seemed to become serious. I always sensed there was something you were holding back, and now, with this Jungkook person, it feels different. Perhaps, my love, it's because you've found someone who truly resonates with you for the first time. Taehyung looks at his mother, his eyes reflecting a mix of surprise and realization. The memories of his university years come rushing back, moments of fleeting connections and hidden romances, all kept in the shadows to protect the family's reputation. His mother continues. I remember those days pretty well, Taehyung. And yes, I know your father had certain expectations for our family, especially when it came to social status and appearances. I remember the weight of those expectations and how it affected you. This guy may be different, and perhaps, for the first time, you feel free to embrace these feelings. It's a chance for you to finally be true to yourself. Taehyung nods, acknowledging the unspoken burden he carried for years. I always felt like I had to live up to Dad's expectations. But with Jungkook, it's like I found something real, something that feels right. His mother looks at Taehyung with a knowing smile, a hint of nostalgia in her eyes. You know, love, your university years were a time of exploration and self-discovery. It was a different time, and of course your father had expectations, especially when it came to our family's reputation. Taehyung chuckles, a mixture of embarrassment and amusement playing on his face. Yeah, those were different times, Mom. I guess I was always trying to balance what I wanted with what was expected of me. Mrs. Kim mother nods, her gaze thoughtful. Your father's demands were a heavy burden, my love. And I guess they always will be. I could see the struggle you faced, trying to fit into a mold that wasn't entirely yours. And Jungkook, maybe the key to unlocking a part of yourself you've kept hidden for a long time. Taehyung looks down, tracing patterns on the table with his fingers. I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this. Back then, I thought it was easier to keep things in the shadows, to avoid causing any trouble. But with Jungkook, it's like he's forcing me to confront who I really am. Taehyung takes a moment, looking into his mother's understanding eyes. Back at university, things were even more complicated than they seemed. I had my share of affairs, but I never allowed myself to really fall for someone. I was always cautious, always mindful of Dad's expectations. His mother listens intently, recognizing the weight of her son's unspoken struggles. I remember, my love. You carried the weight of those expectations on your shoulders, and it must have been lonely to navigate through your emotions with such constraints. Taehyung nods, a mixture of relief and vulnerability in his expression. It was, Mom. I built walls around my heart to protect myself and, in a way, to protect the family image just as Father wanted me to. Falling for someone meant risking everything, and I was too young to be ready to face the consequences. Mother squeezes Taehyung's hand gently, offering silent support. I know you've been carrying this for a long time, my love. Jungkook has brought about a little shift, hasn't he? A chance for you to break free from those old patterns. Taehyung smiles wistfully. He has, Mom. With him, it's like those walls I built are slowly coming down. But it's terrifying, you know? To allow myself to feel so deeply, to risk everything I've known. Mother looks at her son with a compassionate gaze, recognizing the weight of the past that still lingers. I remember the moment when your father arranged the marriage between you and Mrs. Kim. It was a decision made with the best of intentions, but it wasn't an easy path for you. Your happiness was sacrificed for the sake of tradition and his expectations. Taehyung sighs, memories of that time flooding back. It's true, Mom. Since then, I kind of felt trapped in a life that wasn't my own. I tried to find solace in different relationships, one-time affairs that never led anywhere. I was trying to fill a void, something that was missing in my life. His mother hugs him, providing a comforting presence.